Warning, your modesty is actually a status trap. The promotion committee read my results aloud. The room went quiet. My turn to speak. I smiled and said, "It was a team effort. I just got lucky." Chairs shifted. Someone coughed. The offer slid to the colleague beside me. Later, a manager said, "You didn't seem hungry." I was starving. I mistook modesty for safety and paid in status. You've been taught to dim your light so nobody swings at you. Today we're exposing how modesty often hides a neurostatus reflex, camouflage, not virtue. We'll track the brain circuits, the Fawn Response, and the status economy, and give you one behavior that flips modesty into earned authority. The biology of hiding. Why standing out feels dangerous. To see why you keep shrinking, we need to go back to the brain's alarm code. Humans didn't evolve in meritocratic boardrooms. We evolved in small bands where standing out could draw envy, challenge, or exile. Across Anglo cultures, there's even a name for the reflex to cut down the visible one, the tall poppy effect. Inside the body, it feels like a warning that praise is a prelude to punishment. Fear of positive evaluation has been measured in social anxiety research. It isn't shyness, it's the learned link that being praised increases exposure risk. Your brain tags applause as attention, attention as scrutiny, scrutiny as attack. The math is ancient. Visible equals vulnerable. Under the hood, the amygdala scans for threat. It's fast, crude, and better at false alarms than missed hazards. When your name's on the slide, the amygdala lights the siren. The bed nucleus of the stria terminalis, the BNSD, handles the long burn of anticipation, keeping you vigilant for what might come next. Questions, envy, the subtle shift in someone's face. Meanwhile, the Anterior Cingulate Cortex, especially its dorsal aspect, tracks conflict and social pain. It flags the possibility that your desire to claim value will clash with the group's comfort. And the anterior insula stitches body sensations, tight throat, rolling stomach, hot cheeks, into the felt experience of being seen. Here's why that matters. The pain of rejection recruits some of the same circuitry as physical pain. When you've been iced out in a meeting, the dorsal ACC and insula don't politely disagree, they throb. Your body treats social exclusion like injury because, ancestrally, it was. The cost of exile could be death. So your system learns a simple trade. Shrink now, get to tomorrow. Predictive coding turns this into a loop. The brain doesn't wait to find out if attention is dangerous. It predicts danger and then scans for proof. Once visibility equals attack gets installed, you overread neutral cues as threat and underread genuine respect as setup. Status salience biases kick in. You ignore 10 nods and brace for one raised eyebrow. The model sustains itself. You deflect credit, others stop attributing wins to you, and that social discount seems to confirm you were wise to hide. Culture pours gasoline on it. Mid-century conformity punished self-promotion. The 1970s pushed back on bragging. The 2000s taught performative humility. In many workplaces, face-saving norms restrict how much ownership you're allowed to claim out loud. The code is unspoken but enforced. Be competent, be liked, but don't tilt the room. People learn to shape their language to fit. Hedges, softeners, and nervous laughter that telegraph. I'm not a threat. Get this, most of us didn't learn this in theory. We learned it in tiny moments that hurt. There's the kid whose A+ drew a friend's eye roll. The next week, they share the grade quietly, and the eye roll vanishes. Reward delivered. The nervous system tags silence as safety. Fast forward 15 years, and that quiet competence is still doing the work. Useful for harmony, lethal for status. Meanwhile, something else is happening in groups. Humans sought status along two pathways, dominance and prestige. Dominance pushes through force or the threat of it. Prestige is granted because you're useful. People defer to you to learn. If you want prestige, you have to let people see what you can do and own it. But if your fear of praise reflex pulls you backward, your prestige bids look like deference. The room hears. They don't want the mic. Someone else takes it. What nobody told you is that your body doesn't need you to shout. It needs calibration. When the amygdala pings, the vagal brake can slow the surge so you don't tumble into appeasement. The anterior insula will still register heat in your face, but you can name it as arousal, not danger. The ACC will still notice tension. Your plan to own credit might upset one person's script, but that conflict cost doesn't have to decide your behavior. Here's a 20-second micro-story. A mid-level engineer gets pulled into a demo. Their part makes the prototype actually work. Heart jumps. BNSD hums. Old model says, downplay. Instead, they take one breath and lead with, I solved the caching issue, so the load time dropped 38%. Then they stop. No apology, no joke. The manager nods, redirects questions to them, and writes their name at the top of the follow-up. The room just repriced them. Now, why does a single sentence change the market? Because groups thin slice fast. Claiming specific value isn't dominance. It's a prestige anchor. People can only defer to what they can attribute. When you erase the trail, they count. Your brain thinks you dodged a blow. What you dodged was influence. There's irony here. Modesty, meant to avoid envy, can provoke quiet resentment. Others carry more load because you didn't convert your wins into structure. Clearer ownership, better tools, stronger processes. You avoid taking up space. They work around the vacuum. The social pain doesn't go away. It just shifts. To break the loop, we'll need 2 moves. First, update the threat model. Show your nervous system that being seen can be safe. That's memory reconsolidation, and we'll build it later. Second, learn microclaims that keep you in the prestige lane without flipping into bluster. You don't need louder words. You need the right start, a firm end stop, and the courage to let silence land. Biology loads the gun. Childhood pulls the trigger. In the next chapter, we'll see how that modesty you call good manners is often a fawn response, appeasement dressed as virtue. Modesty is fawn, the survival pattern hidden in plain sight. When modesty runs hot in your body, it isn't a moral choice, it's a survival reflex. In trauma literature, it's called the fawn response. When fight will get you punished and flight isn't possible, the nervous system picks appeasement. You placate, deflect, and self-minimize to keep volatile people stable. Outwardly, it reads as humility. Inside, it's camouflage. Make yourself small so the danger has nothing to grab. Here's what that looks like in language. You lead with hedges. I might be wrong, but you add disclaimers that strip your claim before it lands. This is probably obvious. You deflect credit. The team did it. I just supported. You paste in laughter softeners after saying something accurate, because the smile signals non-threat. Even your melody shifts. Your prosody drops a half step. The sentence lifts at the end like a question. You train your voice to say, please don't hit me, while your words say, here's what happened. The body runs the same play. Eyes drop a beat too long. Gestures shrink to the elbows. Breath holds right before your name leaves your mouth. The vagal brake overactivates to keep you cool, but it overshoots into collapse. You feel calm and foggy at the exact moment you need heat and clarity. The brain labels it being humble. It's actually dorsal shutdown flirting with helplessness. Cognitively, the fawn script has a few favorite moves. Preemptive blame absorption. If this goes sideways, that's on me. Apology forecasting. Sorry, quick thought, before the thought exists. Success sabotage. Missing the chance to invoice, present, or publish so you never have to face the reaction. Underneath is a rule you didn't author. Visibility invites harm. Avoid it by giving others what they want. Attachment history tunes this reflex. If your early wins triggered a parent's envy, you learned to stay low to preserve connection. If care was inconsistent, you became anxiously vigilant, micro-reading faces, hypermentalizing motives, building arguments in your head that neutralize conflict before it starts. If closeness felt smothering, you swung avoidant. Suppress wants, mute shine, call it independence. All 3 can wear the mask of humility. All 3 serve the same God, safety through self-erasure. Let's draw a bright line between earned humility and fear-driven modesty. Earned humility can own value without apology. It says, I led the redesign, the team executed beautifully, and means both parts. Fear-driven modesty can't tolerate the first clause unless it smuggles in a joke, a hedge, or a bow. Quick test. Would I say this the same way if no threat were present? If the answer's no, you're in fawn territory. Microstory. A designer presents a rebrand that increased signups by 22%. Their boss is mercurial. Old code fires. Keep it light. They start with, it's not a big deal, but the tweaks seem to help. The room hears, no claim here, and moves on. 2 weeks later, a peer repackages the insight and takes the credit upstream. Same work, different prosody, different enforcement. The fawn response didn't just keep the peace, it transferred the asset. Now remember, your fawn isn't stupid, it's precise. It's reading enforcement risk in real time. Predators. Yes, they exist in offices, scan for who will push back. Self-minimizers look like low-cost targets. You can be brilliant and still inexpensive to exploit if your speech and body mark you as unlikely to retaliate. That's why you're nice keeps attracting more work and fewer rights. Here's where it gets tricky. Prestige, the path where influence is granted, still requires authorship. People need to see, track, and attribute your value to defer to you. Fawn language scrubs attribution. You become liked, even cherished, but not deferred to. The prestige trap is being everyone's favorite collaborator and nobody's first call when power moves. Appeasement and prestige don't mix. One dissolves the other. What nobody knew at the time, likely not even you, is how quickly these tells get priced by a room. The first 20 seconds decide whether your ideas get routed to you or away from you. If you lead with deference, you teach others to speak for you. If you open with ownership, you teach them where to send decisions. Let's get concrete about reversing the pattern. Start at the mouth. Replace hedges with precision. Swap, I think maybe we could for I recommend. Delete apology front loaders. Keep the laughter for the hallway. Land sentences with a period, not a question mark. Give one clean claim, then stop. Silence is not a void to fill. It's a frame that makes your words legible. Then build somatic anchors. Before you speak, exhale fully to release the breath hold. Let your eyes settle on one face for one beat, then widen to the group. Stack your spine, let your scapulae set slightly back, widen your stance by an inch. You don't need bigger gestures, you need steadier ones. This posture doesn't project aggression, it reduces ambiguity. People relax when signals are clear. Add one cognitive reframe. Appeasement is not kindness. Kindness shares credit without erasing authorship. Fawn erases authorship and calls it harmony. You can be generous and still keep your name on your work. In fact, that's what allows your generosity to scale. Prestige needs a stable owner to accumulate around. Last piece for now, install a one-line ownership script. Pick language you can say under load. Something like, I led X, the team executed Y. Or, I solved the caching issue, here's the impact. Tie it to a breath. Use it first before context. This isn't bluster, it's clarity. The room can only respect what it can see. If you keep hiding, you're not humble, you're handing away the pen. The status economy, how groups price you in seconds. While that fawn reflex is whispering, stay small. The room is doing fast math. Thin sliced judgments happen in the first beats. Are you someone we should defer to, or someone who will defer to us? Humans run two tracks for that, dominance and prestige. Dominance gets compliance through pressure. Prestige earns deference through value that others want access to. If you don't mark your value clearly, people can't grant you prestige even if they like you. Here's where it gets crazy in practice. You think you're signaling politeness. The room often reads deference. Overqualifying, front-loading disclaimers, stacking thanks like sandbags. Those aren't neutral. They're submission cues. When those cues arrive before your competence is visible, your prestige bid downgrades into happy to support. Supporters get gratitude. Owners get deference. Different currency. According to the prestige dominance model, groups freely confer status when you reduce their uncertainty and increase their payoff. Costly signaling theory explains why saying, I'm good, doesn't move the needle. Evidence that was expensive for you to produce does. Hours invested, risks carried, artifacts shipped. Visible cost authenticates competence. Verbal modesty can't compete with a working prototype, a dataset, or a signed deal. The more your proof is observable, the less you need to argue. But there's a catch. If you produce cost and then detach your name from it, the market can't price you. Value floats around the team until someone else pins it. That's status leakage. The room heard. The team pulled it off. It didn't hear. I architected the piece that made it possible. Prestige accrues to the anchor point, not the cloud. Microstory. A product meeting. 10 people around a table. A bug has hammered conversion for weeks. One engineer opens with, we collaborated and got a win. Heads nod politely. Another engineer says, I isolated the race condition and rewrote the queue. Error rate dropped from 12 to 1.8%. The room swivels. Questions go to the second voice. Deference markers follow. Fewer interruptions, eyes hold longer, decisions routed their way. Same team, same win, different claim. What nobody knew at the time was how reliably these markers map. People with perceived authority get more airtime without asking. Their sentences land without immediate challenge. Others paraphrase their points back to them. A signal of granted prestige. When you speak in hedges, you invite interruption. When you land cleanly, You invite questions, not corrections. That's not magic, it's pricing. Now layer culture. In some contexts, assertive claims are expected. In others, face-saving norms restrict. Bandwidth. The code shifts, but the mechanism doesn't. You still need attribution to convert value into influence. You just calibrate tone. In a high-face culture, I led X. The team executed Y might become I coordinated X. Grateful to the team for executing Y. The authorship remains legible without violating politeness rules. You're not gaming etiquette. You're fitting ownership to local syntax. Gender complicates this further. Women and marginalized folks get narrower lanes for visible authority without backlash. That doesn't mean you avoid authorship. It means you make proof do more of the work. Evidence-forward openings, metrics, artifacts, decisions shipped, reduce the need for self-ascription. Pair that with a crisp ownership tag, and your influence rises with fewer social penalties. It's unfair. It's also actionable. Let's talk about gratitude. Excessive thanks at the top of your claim reads like you're petitioning for permission. Move gratitude to the end, after ownership lands. I ran the analysis that changed the forecast. Thanks to Maya for pressure testing the model. You hold the core, you recognize support. That order matters. Start with thanks, and you prime the room to see you as the help. And upspeak, the sentence that rises at the end. In friendly chatter, it's fine. In status markets, it suggests you're seeking approval for what you just said. End stops create a small boundary. You're not daring the room. You're telling the room where the period goes so they can respond to a complete thought. Costly signaling again. Investment beats adjectives. Replace, it was really hard work, with I iterated 17 versions, the 18th passed. Replace, I'm passionate about quality, with I wrote the test suite that caught 9 regressions. Now you're pricing with receipts. Prestige scales when others can reference artifacts without you in the room. Here's a quick drill that flips the prestige trap. In your next update, lead with a 3-second claim that attaches your name to the costly signal. I negotiated the vendor down 12%. We save $108,000 this quarter. Then stop. Let the questions find you. If someone tries to reroute credit, hold the frame. Yes, legal supported the paper. I drove the negotiation. Share, don't surrender. One more human moment. A quiet analyst finally tries this. First sentence lands. A senior rolls eyes. The analyst holds eye contact for 1 beat and repeats the metric flat. The room resets. That tiny enforcement, no apology, just restatement, shifts the price. Prestige isn't loud. It's legible, attributable, and enforceable. Remember, groups aren't scoring your soul. They're making fast bets with limited information. Give them a clean signal they can bet on. The Machiavellian cost of nice. Exploitation dynamics. While you're working to be liked, someone else is working the math. Predators. Yes, in suits, scan rooms for compliance the way hawks scan fields for movement. They're not cartoon villains. They're rational actors looking for low enforcement risk. Fun signals, overthanking, hedging, soft laughter after a claim. Broadcast one thing. Low probability of retaliation. You don't have to say, walk over me. Your cadence says, you probably can. Here's how the drain starts. You do invisible labor because you're reliable. You deflect credit because you're a team player. You accept fuzzy asks without trade triggers because you don't want to be difficult. Initially, you're praised for being indispensable. Then your calendar swells, your leverage thins, and the praise plateaus. No receipts means no prestige conversion. You built value. Nobody can see where to anchor it. In the status market, unclaimed value depreciates. Narrative capture follows silence. If you don't tell the story of your contribution, the story finds a new author. People fill gaps with discounting. It wasn't that hard. We all kind of did it. Ops handled the details. That last one stings. Ops is you. This isn't malice every time. It's market behavior. The loudest clear signal sets the price for the whole bundle. If your signal is soft, the bundle gets repriced without you. Reciprocity collapses under nice. You trade gratitude for terms. You say, happy to help, when the correct frame is, here's what I can deliver and what I'll need in return. You accept scope creep without a renegotiation because you're trying to be useful. Useful becomes used. Gift economies work when there's shared memory and fair storytellers. In complex orgs, memory is short and storytellers are biased. Without explicit contracts, written or spoken, your generosity turns into a default setting people feel entitled to press. Social proof withers when you deflect. Winds without an owner don't propagate. There's no artifact trail, no memo with your byline, no commit tag to your handle, no deck stamped with your name. Prestige requires public, attributable competence. Not because vanity needs it, but because groups need handles to grab when they want to defer. If every handle says team, then any hand can hold it. Your influence dissolves on contact. Let's run a case vignette. A fixer, call him Luis, unclogs snarled launches. He's the person product calls at midnight and finance pings at dawn. He never invoices reputationally. He closes loops, then shrugs to avoid spotlight. 1 quarter, he rescues an integration that protects 7 figures of revenue. In the exec recap, the slide reads cross-functional collaboration. Luis thinks, as it should be. 2 months later, resourcing shifts, he's not in the room. The narrative had no anchor. The market discounted the role. He comes to me angry at politics. We change one line. Next crisis, he says, first sentence out. I led the triage and re-architecture that saved 7 figures. Here are the receipts. He names his artifact trail. Incident log, decision register, pull requests. He keeps sharing credit. Ops and legal get named. But he locks authorship on the keystone. The pricing flips. He pulled earlier, paid in decision rights, not just praise. Why does one sentence do that? Because enforcement risk changed. People who claim clearly and back it with receipts signal willingness to enforce boundaries. Not with threats, just with clarity. You can't smear, we all did it, over a documented log with timestamps and signatures. The artifact trail inoculates against narrative capture. It's hard to steal a house when the deed is public. You might worry that claiming makes you a target. Sometimes it does. That's why you pair authorship with ethics. Share credit explicitly while owning the hinge. Led X, the team executed Y. That formula keeps your value legible and your relationships intact. Predators dislike clear contracts, collaborators love them. Your clarity helps the decent people find you. Here's the unseen cost of nice on energy. Every time you swallow a claim, your ACC flags internal conflict. You want to speak, you choose not to. That friction taxes you. Resentment accrues interest. You become curt in hallways, sour in meetings, but still deferential at the mic. People feel the leak before they hear it. They don't know what's off. They just stop routing authority your way. Claim cleanly, and the conflict signal quiets. You stop managing a double life, useful and unseen. Install deal hygiene. Before you say yes, ask for ask. Happy to take this on. Can you confirm I'll present results to the steering group? Or, I can do it by Friday if we drop the dashboard add-on. That's not greed. That's scope clarity. When the work lands, stamp it. Put your name on the doc. Lead the email. Archive decisions. You're building the audit trail that lets Prestige price correctly later, especially when memory erodes or envy spikes. Watch how thanks can be a trap. Gratitude without terms teaches the room that your output is a gift, not a contract. Gifts invite more asks. Contracts invite respect. Move your thanks to the close, never the open. Lead with claim, then appreciate. It keeps the power sequence intact. One more microstory. A researcher ships a breakthrough analysis. In review, a senior tries to rename the method and center themselves. Old you fawns. Whatever you think. New you replies, even tone. Let's keep the original label. It's linked to my pre-registration and code repo here. Link attached. That com citation is enforcement. No puff chest, just receipts. The attempt dies quietly. You're nice stops being a harvest field. The neuroscience if you won't price yourself, space, the room will. What owning value feels like. You don't need a new personality. You need a new body script. Owning value isn't a speech trick. It's a state shift that your nervous system can learn. Start with interoception, the simple act of noticing the body without obeying it. When your name's called, your sympathetic system spikes. Hard up, palms damp, heat in the face. The amygdala throws the first flare. You don't fight the surge, you map it. One slow exhale lengthens the vagal brake, the built-in governor that can downshift arousal without dumping you into collapse. The anterior insula is your dashboard here. It integrates those raw sensations into the felt meaning of I'm visible. If you've paired that feeling with danger for years, the insula lights like a storm. You can teach it a new association in the moment. Label the heat as fuel. Quietly say to yourself, arousal, not threat. That tiny cognitive tag stops the cascade from hijacking your mouth. You're still lit up. You're now legible. The dorsal ACC, which monitors conflict and error, will chime in. It notices the tension between claiming credit and keeping peace. That signal isn't wrong, it's data. If you step into authorship anyway, something counterintuitive happens over time. The ACC's alarm for this context drops. Repetition teaches that nothing exploded. The conflict cost was mostly predicted, not actual. Each clean claim is a rep that lowers future friction. Now the sound of authority, prosody and cadence. People don't just hear your words, they hear how your nervous system is managing them. Assertive cadence is not louder, it's steadier. Land sentences with end stops. Let the tone fall on the last word. Avoid the upward lilt that begs for permission. Hold one beat of silence after a metric or claim. That pause tells the room your thought is complete and safe to engage. Ambiguity drops, deference rises without force. Somatically, anchor verticality. Stack head over sternum over pelvis. Let your scapulae set a touch back and down, opening the collarbones. Widen your stance by an inch. You're not puffing up, you're giving your brain proprioceptive proof that you can take impact. Posture changes perception, yours and theirs. Research on dominance perception shows that verticality and stable, I-focus upshift perceived authority without aggression. You're not looming, you're reducing signal noise. Motor schemas matter when you gesture. Keep movements within a calm box. Elbows near ribs, hands describing precise shapes when naming numbers or steps. Chopping or flailing reads as fight. Micromapping reads as control. Your gestures should match the cost in your story. When you say 3 iterations, show 3. When you say moved from 12 to 1.8, show the drop. Bodies trust bodies. Here's where memory reconsolidation upgrades the code. The old prior. Visibility equals attack. Lives in networks that can be edited, but not by willpower alone. You need reactivation plus mismatch. Step 1. Evoke a target scene lightly. Being praised and shrinking, a meeting you let pass. Let the felt sense arise. Throat tight, belly hot. Step 2. While that network is label, introduce a contradictory now. You speak a one-line claim in a safe context and get witnessed by a coach, a peer, even a camera. The nervous system holds both, the old danger tag and the present safety. That mismatch allows the brain to update. Do it several times until the scene loses charge. Pair that with counter-conditioning. When praise arrives, instead of bracing, exhale and soften your jaw. Let the muscles around the eyes release. This is subtle, but your autonomic system listens. You're training the association, a claim equals relaxation, not a claim equals freeze. Over weeks, the Insula's mapping of being seen starts including warmth and breath, not just burn and clamp. Reward recalibration follows. Many of us got hooked on dopamine from approval. Nods, smiles, great job. Shift the target to outcomes. Clean commits, revenue lifted, error rates dropped. Say the metric out loud to yourself. Let the click you feel be about the result, not the reaction. The ventral striatum learns what to chase. Meanwhile, as you normalize ownership, the ACC flags fewer social errors, and the cost of pressing the mic lowers. You become efficient. Fewer disclaimers, fewer repairs. Microstory. Before a quarterly review, Jana runs a drill. She replays the memory of being cut off at her last review. Tight throat, spinning thoughts. She feels it for 10 seconds, then reads her present tense line on camera. I led the forecasting redesign. Error dropped from 9 to 2%. She watches herself say it without flinching. Next day, same line leads her update. Heat rises, she tags it fuel. Lands the sentence, waits a beat. Questions route to her. The room recalibrates, so does her body. That night, she doesn't ruminate. The system learned. One more piece, contact gravity. Don't scan frantically. Choose a face, finish a sentence there, then widen to the group. When pushback comes, and it will sometimes, don't rush to soften. Repeat the metric, flat. Let silence do a slice of enforcement work. You're not stonewalling. You're telling the ACC, conflict acknowledged, claim stands. You don't need louder words. You need calibrated presence. Train the body first, and the mouth begins to cooperate. Field tests, micro-experiments to break the modesty reflex. We're not waiting for perfect courage. We're running field tests you can deploy this week. These aren't speeches. They're micro-moves that flip how rooms price you. Start with the 3-second claim rule. Open every update with one clean ownership line, then stop. I led the migration. Downtime dropped to 4 minutes. Period. No hedge, no thank you pile, no apology. Then add one beat of silence so the sentence lands. After that, offer details. This prevents your prestige bid from being reinterpreted as deference. You're not begging, you're anchoring attribution. Install the credit tag habit. Split authorship from execution, so both get oxygen. I led the redesign. The team executed beautifully. This isn't ego, it's metadata. It tells the market where to route questions, scope, and decisions. Put the tag in emails, doc headers, slide footers, and when you speak. If it feels loud, good. Loud to you is usually legible to them. Ask before give reprograms reciprocity. Before you volunteer, trigger a trade. I can take this sprint if I present results to the steering group. Or, happy to write the brief. Can we agree I'll be primary author on the deck? You're installing terms, not extracting favors. The people who like clean deals will lean in. The ones who wanted free labor will flinch. That's useful data. Build a win log. Daily, write 3 lines. What you did, what it changed, where the artifact lives. Rewrote Q. Errors 12%, 1.8%. PR number 482. This is your proof stack. When you brief, pull from it. When someone questions scope, link it. Prestige rides on attributable artifacts. The log isn't for bragging, it's for memory, yours and theirs. Run social discomfort drills. Pick graded exposures that pair visibility with com. Example ladder. Accept public praise without deflecting. Post a short thread with your name on an artifact. Open a meeting with your 3-second claim. Deliver a 3-minute demo. Before each, exhale fully. Loosen your jaw. Label arousal as fuel. Land your line. Wait a beat. You're doing reconsolidation work in the wild. Reactivation plus mismatch. I'm visible pairs with I'm safe until the felt code updates. Now let's build scripts you can actually say under load. Replace, I think we could maybe, with I recommend. Replace, I helped with I owned. Replace quick thought with here's the decision. You're not performing dominance, you're removing ambiguity. Keep it short. 1 sentence to claim, 1 sentence to prove, 1 to propose next steps. Practice cadence. Record yourself delivering 1 metric with a falling tone. Churn dropped from 6 to 4.2. Then a second of silence. Notice the impulse to fill it. Rehearse until the pause feels neutral. That beat is where others decide to defer or interrupt. Your steadiness gives them permission to route authority your way. Embed receipts in the moment. When you claim, point to evidence. I led the incident triage. Decisions are in the log, page 3. Or, I negotiated the discount. Contract red lines tagged to my handle. Receipts convert nice story into priced asset. They also inoculate you against narrative capture when credit gets foggy later. Shift thanks to the close. Ownership first, gratitude last. I architected the fix, thanks to Priya for stress testing. Said that way, you keep the hinge and honor the team. Open with thanks, and you demote yourself to support before anyone hears the asset. Install a meeting opener. When the chair says, updates, you go first with a crisp claim. I shipped the scoring model, accuracy improved 9 points. Don't wait to be called. Deference in turn-taking teaches the room to position you as a follower. Calmly taking the floor teaches them to expect leadership without theatrics. Set a refusal template. When unnecessary asks arrive, don't fawn. Try. I'm focused on X. I can do Y next week unless we drop Z. Or, yes, at my consulting rate. Want me to scope it? You're not punishing, you're pricing. People who respect boundaries will align. Those who don't will escalate. Good, you just revealed a pattern early. Add a repair script for overclaims. If you overshoot, fix clean. I overstated earlier. Jay co-led the analysis. My piece was the model design. Fast repair preserves trust and your status. Authority plus honesty beats silence plus defensiveness. Run a weekly calibration. Review the past 5 interactions. Where did you hedge? Where did you claim? Where did you install a trade? Pull 1 line from your win log into next week's opener. Text an ally your 3-second claim, and ask them to call on you if you stall. Build ally packs with people who value clean authorship. Microstory. A quiet PM decides to try 3 moves in 1 meeting. She opens first. I led the vendor migration. Costs dropped 12%. Pause. She tags credit. Security executed flawlessly. Later, a director asks her to just take notes. She smiles. I'm driving the roadmap today. Sam can capture decisions. No spike in voice, no apology. After, 2 peers message her. Loved how clear that was. Next month, she's assigned decision rights on budget. Same person, new price. One last drill, the mirror minute. Every morning, deliver one ownership line out loud with a falling tone and a beat of silence. Tie it to breath. You're teaching your mouth where the period goes and your body how to tolerate it. Keep the lines boringly specific. Boring claims get funded. You don't have to stop being kind. You do have to stop being free. Claim first, trade fair, show receipts, and let the room do the math for you. Origins map, tracing your modesty imprint. To change the reflex, you need to find where it was written. Not as a concept, at the scene level. Start with your first family rulebook. Some homes ran a quiet tax on pride. Win a ribbon, and a sibling rolls eyes. Share excitement, and a parent sighs. Don't brag, people won't like you. That isn't manners, that's an FP install. Fear of positive evaluation coded as safety. You learned visibility attracts envy, and envy threatens attachment. So you shrink to keep love. Love wins, authorship loses. Sibling politics matter. If one kid already wore the smart one, you learned to inhabit the negative space, reliable, undramatic, small. You became the glue, not the headline. Parents with their own unrealized ambitions can transmit envy as caution. Stay humble, meaning don't pass me. None of this is villainy, it's weather. But you grew in it, and your posture learned to bend. School writes the next chapter. Remember the day the teacher praised you, and the class groaned. Teacher's pet? Your body took notes. Hot face, tight throat, stillness. Public correction does the same. Stand up, read aloud, stumble, laughter. The dorsal ACC logged it as pain and built an avoidance prior. Don't be spotlighted where the room can cut. You weren't deciding, you were adapting. Every A shared quietly, every hand half raised, it was nothing in the hallway. These are practice reps in invisibility. Culture sets the broader script. In some communities, pride is taboo, humility is armor, and face is a shared asset you protect by downplaying. In others, authorship is expected ritual. If you grew up in a don't stand out culture and entered in claim your lane workplace, your internal code jams. You hear, be more assertive, and your body hears, violate the tribe. That's not a small gap. The solution isn't to copy another culture's swagger. It's to translate ownership into your native syntax, so it lands without betrayal. Trauma accelerates learning. Unpredictable authority trains fawn fast. If a caregiver's mood swung, praise one day, contempt the next, you built hypermentalizing, scanning micro-expressions, preempting conflict with appeasement. Humiliation clusters form, memories sticky with shame, each tagging the next similar moment with duck. Over time, avoidance becomes procedural. Your mouth runs hedges before you think. Your shoulders drop before your name is called. You call it personality. It's conditioning. Let's locate the original scene. Close your eyes and find the first memory of shrinking after a win. Maybe you were 9, spelling bee champion, smiling as your name was called. A cousin muttered, nerd. The adults laughed. Freeze frame it. Notice the body cues, the pinch in the throat, the heat across your cheeks, the breath that stalled halfway. That's your interoceptive stencil. Tag it. Put simple labels on it. Throat, heat, breath. This is what we'll edit in Reconsolidation, but mapping comes first. Now widen the timeline. Where else did that exact stencil appear? The high school assembly, where you downplayed the scholarship. The first job where you wrote the deck and let someone else present it. The meeting where your idea got revoiced by a louder peer and adopted. Each time, the body fired the same trio. Throat, heat, breath, and you obeyed. The brain loves patterns. It used them to keep you employed in your group. Effective then, expensive now. Here's a micro-story. Eli, the youngest of 3, learned early that shining drew a brother's mockery. He kept peace by being helpful. In college, he crushed group projects quietly. First job, he became the go-to fixer, never on the slide. One day, he hears his line come out of someone else's mouth in a QBR. The room nods at them. He feels the old stencil, throat, heat, shallow breath, plus a new one, a drop in the gut. Rage and shame braid. He emails me. I'm done being nice. He isn't. He's done being unowned. We run the origins map together. Family rule, don't outshine. School memory, teacher's pet. Cultural script, community modesty as safety. Trauma imprint, a coach who humiliated him after a win. We tag each with body cues. He sees the sameness. The recognition does half the work. He stops arguing with his reflex and starts planning to update it. Here's the exercise for you. Draw a simple timeline from earliest memory to now. Mark 5 moments you shrank after a win. For each, write 3 lines. What happened, what you did to get safe, what your body did. Notice repeat language. I just helped. It wasn't me. We all did it. Notice repeat sensations. Throat, heat, breath. Then add 1 speculative line. What would I have said if no threat were present? That's the sentence we'll practice later. Add the social map. Who were the punishers? Tall poppy cutters, resentful peers, unpredictable bosses. Who were the safe witnesses? Mentors who smiled when you owned something, friends who cheered instead of flinching. You'll use the latter in Reconsolidation as live mismatch. The brain needs to see the old scene with a new audience and a new outcome. One more angle, identity. Many of us tied goodness to self-erasure. The good kid didn't make waves. The good colleague didn't ask for credit. Ask yourself whose approval that goodness was buying. Then ask what it cost. Not in sentiment. List the missed decisions, the raises routed around you, the junior folks who couldn't find your trail to learn from. Price the silence. Let the number annoy you just enough to move. Once you locate the scene, you can edit the script. We're going to take those body tags, throat, heat, breath, back into memory, and give your system a new ending it can trust. Memory editing. Reconsolidation protocol for visibility. We're going to change the code where it lives, inside scenes, not slogans. Reconsolidation isn't positive thinking. It's a surgical process. Reactivate the old network, mismatch it with a new reality, and let the brain update. If you rush or flood, you miss the edit window. If you drift, the old story resaves itself untouched. Start with a single target scene. Pick one where you shrank after a win that still carries heat. Keep it specific. The QBR where your insight was revoiced, the award where you joked it was luck, the meeting where you didn't take the mic sit upright. Set a 5-minute timer. Close your eyes and lightly press play. Let 10 seconds of the clip roll. Notice the body tags, throat, heat, breath. Name them softly. Don't narrate, don't analyze. You're reactivating the network, not relitigating the past. Now set the mismatch. While the old scene is labeled, speak a present tense ownership line out loud. I led X, the team executed Y. Use the exact sentence you sketched in your timeline exercise. The one you'd have said if no threat had been present. Say it once, with a falling tone, then hold a 1-second silence. If you have a safe witness, mentor, peer, coach, have them nod and say, got it. That live, safe acknowledgement is the contradiction your nervous system needs. Visibility paired with safety. Anchor it with sensory cues. Exhale fully. Unclench your jaw. Let your eyes soften. Press toes lightly into the floor. This is counter-conditioning. Pairing a claim and ownership with relaxation, not bracing. You're teaching the anterior insula to map scene, with breath and warmth, not just burn and clamp. Do 2 to 3 cycles. 10 seconds reactivation, 1 sentence mismatch, 1 beat silence, 1 exhale. Then stop. Short, precise, boring. The brain likes boring when it's updating code. Use artifacts to strengthen the mismatch. Film yourself delivering the line cleanly. Watch it once. Don't critique, witness. Or, if writing lands better, type the line at the top of a doc that collects receipts. Links to the deck, PR numbers, incident logs, then read the line again. You're stacking, ownership plus proof plus witness. That trio inoculates against your systems. It's not safe to claim reflex. Next, rehearse in context. Pick a low-risk meeting and run the new line as your opener. Expect the amygdala flare. Label it arousal, not danger. Land the sentence, let the beat happen. If someone interrupts, repeat the metric flat, then continue. You're building the enforcement on neutral pathway. After, notice your ACC. Did the internal friction drop a notch? That reduction is proof an edit took. For sticky scenes that won't loosen, borrow an RTM-style tweak. Change the vantage point inside the memory. Replay the target moment, as if you're watching it on a small screen across the room. Reduce color, lower volume. Let the body tags arise at 30% instead of 100. While watching, speak your present tense line from the chair you're in now. This split perspective maintains reactivation without overwhelm and gives your nervous system room to integrate the contradiction. Install a verbal anchor. Choose one ownership sentence you can say under load and pair it with breath. I led X, the team executed Y. Or, I solved the caching issue, load dropped 38%. Practice the delivery. Falling tone, end stop, 1 beat. Say it once per day into your phone. You're grooving the motor plan, so it's available when the old code tries to run. Now we counterpair praise. The next time someone says, "Great work," resist the reflex to deflect. Do 3 moves instead. Exhale, say thank you, then add a microclaim. I led the model, thrilled with the team's execution. Feel the urge to joke or apologize and let it pass. You're editing the association chain inside a live social exchange. Test for success with boredom, not fireworks. A memory is updated when it becomes dull, when you can run the scene, speak your line, and your body barely stirs. In meetings, success feels like clean landings and fewer repairs. You speak once, questions route to you. Afterward, there's no rumination loop. The system doesn't spin because there's nothing left to predict or avoid. Expect backlash from old protectors. Part of you will argue. You'll look arrogant. They'll cut you down. Don't debate, demonstrate. Run the protocol. Gather 2 new reps where ownership landed safely, and let those receipts update the prior. Your job isn't to bully the amygdala. It's to feed it data it respects. A final microsequence you can deploy anywhere. Feel the cue, name called eyes turn. Exhale to lengthen the break. Ownership line, falling tone. 1 beat of silence. Evidence tag, metric, artifact, impact. Then gratitude, then share credit. If pushback comes, repeat the metric flat. That's the whole loop. Simple, repeatable, traceable. With the past loosened, we upgrade the rules of play. In the next section,
status
we'll turn the new code into a Modesty to measure authority. Authority isn't a mood, it's a sequence you can practice. For moves, recognize, re-rate, rehearse, reinforce. Turn appeasement into measured authorship without tipping into bluster. Recognize starts in real time. Catch the leakage. Your mouth reaches for, "I might be wrong." Tag it fawn language. Your tone climbs at the end. Tag it upspeak. Your hands go small, and your eyes drop. Tag it appeasement posture. Overthanking at the top. Tag it submission cue. Don't shame it, label it. Labels slow the reflex just enough for choice to slip in. In your notebook, make a tiny legend. H for hedge, U for upspeak, OT for overthanks, DC for credit deflection. After a meeting, score the first minute of your own speaking. You're building signal awareness. Re-rate is where you update the threat dial. Your body says, claiming is dangerous. You answer with data. 2 fresh reps last week, where you led with authorship and nothing blew up. The ACC learns by evidence, not pep talks. Keep a priors update note. Owned X on Tuesday, room deferred, no pushback. Claimed Y Friday, 1 question, no cut. Redefine arrogance versus precision. Arrogance is inflating credit or erasing others. Precision is clean authorship with receipts. When your inner critic yells arrogant, ask, did I inflate? Did I erase? If not, it's a false alarm. Mark it FA in the margin. Rehearse gives your mouth and body new defaults. Scripts first. Write 3 one-liners you can say under load. I led X, the team executed Y. I solved A, impact was B. I recommend C, here's the cost and payoff. Pair each with a proof tag and a boundary line. Decisions in the log, page 2. PR number 482 and incident timeline linked. Happy to expand scope if we drop Z or move the date. Now cadence. Practice end stops. Record your line with a falling tone and a 1-beat pause. Delete apology front loaders. Swap quick thought. For here's the decision. Swap, I helped with. For, I owned. Rehearse an enforcement micro move. If interrupted after your opener, repeat the metric flat, then finish. You're not escalating. You're completing a thought. Prosody drills. Read numbers with gravity. 12 to 1.8. Let the tone fall on the last digit. Practice moving gratitude to the close. I led X, thanks to Maya for pressure testing. Run 5 reps a day until the pause feels ordinary. Somatic drills. Before you speak, exhale to the bottom. Stack your spine, set scapulae slightly back. Widen stance 1 inch. Eyes, choose one face, land a sentence, then widen. Hands, map quantity with fingers, steps with small arcs. These anchors tell your nervous system, we can take impact. Posture reduces ambiguity, more than volume does. Costly signaling aligned proof points are your best friends. Every claim rides with a receipt. When you recommend, tie it to effort you've actually spent. I ran 17 iterations, the 18th hit the target. When you lead a negotiation, cite the artifact. Red lines tagged to my handle. Receipts convert story to asset and reduce social friction because the room doesn't have to guess. Reinforce locks the gains into your environment so you don't rely on willpower. Build attributable artifacts by default. Put your name and role on docs, version control decisions. Add author stamps to decks. Make ally packs with 2 peers and a sponsor. Share your 3-second claim in advance. They call on you first, you reciprocate. Hang a tiny dashboard where you track lead indicators weekly. Inbound asks with your name on them, airtime minutes, price acceptance on proposals, ownership mentions in others' summaries. Watch lagging indicators quarterly, decision rights, scope control, public attribution. Seeing numbers move keeps your threat re-rating honest. Set environmental cues. A sticky note on your laptop. Claim proof pause thanks. A calendar block called win log. 10 minutes at day's end to write 3 lines. What you did, what changed, where it lives. That log is your briefcase when memory gets political. Put a short receipts section at the end of your updates. Links, IDs, owners. You're teaching the org how to price you when you're not in the room. Fail-safes matter because reflexes relapse. Install a post-mortem ritual. When you catch a hedge or a deflect, don't spiral. Write the exact sentence you should have said. Record it once with a falling tone. Send it to an ally with, holding this for next time. Run RTM-style boosters on sticky scenes. Brief reactivation, present tense claim, witness, breath. Boring, consistent edits beat grand vows. Build boundary templates you can pull cold. I'm focused on A. I can pick up B next sprint if we drop C. Yes, at my consulting rate. Want me to scope it? I'm driving the roadmap today. Sam can capture decisions. Let's keep the original label. It's tied to my pre-reg and repo. Add repairs for when you overclaim. Speed is the virtue. I overstated. Earlier, Jay co-led the analysis. My piece was the model design. Precision plus accountability preserves trust and status simultaneously. A closing microstory to stitch it together. Naya builds the kit. Recognize. She tags 3 hedges in Monday's stand-up. Re-rate. She logs 2 safe claims from last week. Rehearse. She practices. I led the rollout. Churn dropped 1.8, with a beat of silence. Reinforce. She stamps her deck, loops in an ally, and adds receipts to the appendix. In review, her opener lands. A senior tries to generalize the win. She restates the metric, points to the log. Questions route to her. Scope expands with decision rights attached. Later, she messages her ally. Period landed. The kit isn't magic. It's muscle. Authority without calibration tips into bluster. So we add ethics next. Ethical dominance. Power without predation. Power without guardrails rots fast. We're not building swagger. We're building stewardship. Ethical dominance blends prestige. Value others freely defer to, with clean enforcement that doesn't coerce. You keep authorship, share credit, and install boundaries that let everyone relax because the game is clear. Start with a non-zero-sum frame. You can own the hinge and still distribute the win. Say, I led X, the team executed Y, then push spotlight to specific contributors. This isn't performance, it's architecture. Prestige accrues when value is obvious and ownership is legible. Sharing credit sustains the commons. Keeping authorship sustains the anchor. Prestige needs to grow around. Set guardrails before there's friction. Consent, clarity, and clean contracts aren't legalese, they're nervous system hygiene. Consent means people know what they're agreeing to and why. Clarity means scope, owners, and timelines are explicit. Clean contracts mean expectations are recorded where memory can't wobble. You prevent reciprocity failures by defining the trade. I'll run the analysis and present the findings at the steering group. You'll clear 2 hours for dataset cleanup. Everyone can see the deal. No one has to mind read. Blend prestige and enforcement. Competence earns deference. Enforcement protects it. Enforcement here isn't threat, it's boundary. If someone renames your work to scoop authorship, you don't scold, you cite. Let's keep the original label. It ties to my pre-reg and repo. If someone tries to route decisions away from your lane, you redirect calmly. I'm driving this scope, happy to integrate input. Final calls sit here. That tone, flat, receipt-backed, signals you'll protect the asset without punishing people. Coercion invites revolt. Containment invites trust. You will overclaim sometimes. Repair fast. Speed is the virtue because trust leaks through delay. I overstated earlier. Jay co-led the analysis. My piece was the model design. No long apology, no self-flagellation. Precision restores fairness. Fairness stabilizes prestige. People remember who fixes quickly. Status actually rises when leaders correct cleanly, because it shows you value truth over theatre. Ethical dominance also means you don't hoard. Mentor publicly. Model visible ownership, so juniors see how to do it without backlash. Hold office hours on claiming cleanly. When someone does it well, say so out loud. Notice how Aisha led with the metric, then tagged the team. You're inoculating the culture against tall poppy cutting by making ownership a shared norm, not a deviant spike. The more people can name their value without getting cut, the less you need to police envy alone. Keep deals symmetric. When you ask for help, pre-attach credit and terms. If you build the prototype, you'll present with me, co-author on the deck, and your handle is on the repo. That teaches your circle the hygiene you expect back. Over time, your network becomes a reciprocity machine instead of an extraction mill. You'll feel it in your body. The ACC quiets because conflict drops when rules are known. Transparency is an ethical accelerant. Publish decision logs. Stamp owners on artifacts. Keep revision histories open. Transparency reduces rumor oxygen and shrinks the playground for predation. If you ever need to push back on a smear, you don't perform outrage. You point to the public record. Com narrative plus receipts beats heat every time. Price yourself fairly, then honor the price. Ethical dominance charges for value and delivers. Don't lowball to be liked or inflate to flex. If someone balks, you hold the line or adjust scope. You don't secretly do more to be nice. Hidden subsidies breed resentment and destabilize trust. Fair prices signal you'll also be fair when power tilts your way. A cue that attracts principled allies. Here's a human moment. A lead engineer, tempted to steamroll a junior to ship on time, pauses. He remembers the guardrail. Consent before pressure. He says, "We're under the gun. I'm proposing we cut tests C and D for now, agree?" The junior hesitates. He recalibrates. Alternate plan. I take on D, you own C. We sign the risk log together. Consent plus clarity replaces coercion. They ship. At retro, he says, "I drove the cut. Sarah carried C under fire." He keeps authorship. He distributes glory. Trust upshifts, not just delivery. Audit yourself for coercion creep. Signs. You rush people past questions. You threaten access. You shame mistakes to move timelines. Replace those with time-boxed questions, clear escalation paths, blameless postmortems that still assign owners. Authority isn't an excuse to offload your panic. Your state sets the room. Finally, remember why ethics matter tactically. Prestige is granted, not taken. It relies on voluntary deference. People defer longer and deeper to leaders who pair clarity with care. They'll bring you early problems, share uncomfortable truths, and protect your absence because your authorship protects them too. That's the long game. Now measure the gains where it counts. Metrics that matter, track status, not vibes. If ethics set the rails, numbers keep you on them. Status isn't a feeling, it's a telemetry problem. You can't manage what you don't measure, and prestige collapses when you fly by vibes. We're going to track lead indicators, lag indicators, social telemetry, deal hygiene, and personal energy. The point isn't a spreadsheet. It's feedback that updates your nervous system and your strategy. Start with lead indicators, the early signals that your authorship is becoming legible. Count inbound asks that name you. Can you lead? Route this to, not who can. Track meeting airtime you didn't fight for. Minutes you spoke without scrapping for the mic. Watch price acceptance on proposals. Internal or external. Did your rate, scope, or terms get accepted without haggling? Note ownership mentions in others' summaries. Alex led, Priya drove, Jordan authored. These are fast-moving metrics. They respond within weeks to your 3-second claims, receipts, and boundary scripts. Lag indicators tell you if the market repriced you for real. Promotions and title shifts matter, but look deeper. Decision rights gained, budget control, scope expansion where you set the frame. Equity slices, revenue share, named inventor on filings, bylines on press pieces. Public attribution in artifacts and media. These move slower, but when they move, they lock. Check quarterly. If they stall, don't moralize, interrogate signals. Are you claiming cleanly? Are receipts visible? Are you still front-loading thanks? Now the social telemetry inside rooms. Small, countable behaviors that map deference. Interruption rate. How often are you cut off versus how often you complete thoughts? Eye contact gravity. When you speak, do eyes hold or scatter? When others speak, do they check your face for confirmation before landing? Track turn-taking shifts. Do chairs call you early, or do you wait? Seating gravity. who sits near you unprompted. It's not vanity, bodies follow status. If you start seeing fewer interruptions after your opener and more paraphrasing back to you, your prestige signal is clearing. Audit deal hygiene. Every valuable output should leave an audit trail with your name on it. Scope clarity. Is the work defined with owners, dates, and decisions recorded? Revision control. Can someone reconstruct who did what, when? Credit imprint. Is your name stamped where attribution travels? Doc headers, commit history, deck footers, decision logs? When a deal closes, capture a one-line receipt. Negotiated 12% vendor reduction. Contract red lines tagged to my handle. Savings $108,000 Q3. That sentence is both memory and defense. It keeps prestige pricing accurate when politics fogs. Personal energy is a metric, not a mystery. Track resentment drop. Write a quick -10 after key meetings. If it's high, you leaked authorship or boundaries. Track speech economy. Are you using fewer words to land claims? That's nervous system efficiency. Your dorsal ACC isn't throwing as many conflict flags. Track recovery speed. How long do you ruminate after visibility moments? Minutes, hours, days? As your system updates, the afterburn shortens. Put these in a tiny weekly note titled Friction. You're not journaling feelings, you're tracking load. Build a simple dashboard, nothing fancy. 5 rows. Inbound asks named, uncontested airtime, ownership mentions by others, price acceptance, interruptions. 3 lag rows, decision rights, public attributions, compensation levers. 1 hygiene row, artifacts stamped this week. 1 energy row, friction average. Review Fridays. Circle anything that moved. Send a 2-line update to an ally or sponsor. Ownership mentions up, interruptions down. Shipping receipts helped. You're teaching the org how to see you, and you're feeding your own re-rating with data. Microstory. Sam starts tracking. Week 1, 2 inbound asks named. Interruptions at 5. Ownership mentions by others, 0. He installs the 3-second claim and stamps receipts in. Updates. Week 3. Inbound asks jump to 6. Interruptions drop to 2. 1 director paraphrases, Sam led the fix. Quarter later. Scope expands, with final call sits with Sam. Compensation doesn't budge yet. He doesn't spiral. He checks lag indicators cadence, then pushes a pricing conversation tied to decision rights and savings delivered. Numbers give him spine. The ACC quiets because the ask matches receipts. Expect weirdness as you measure. If lead indicators rise while social warmth dips, you might be tripping fear of positive evaluation in others. Don't chase approval. Double down on clarity and credit sharing. If you see airtime rise but price acceptance stall, your proof may be soft, upgrade receipts. If public attribution grows but interruptions spike, check your openers for hedges. You may be inviting challenge with soft landings. Don't overfit 1 week. Trends beat blips. 3 weeks up is a signal. 3 data points down is a pattern to inspect. Bring numbers into your one-on-ones. I'm seeing more ownership mentions and earlier routing. I'd like decision rights formalized to match. Calm tone, falling cadence, receipts attached. Leaders price what they can measure. Hand them the meter. Here's a guardrail. Never cook the books. Don't inflate asks. Don't reclassify support as ownership. Precision maintains trust and your own confidence in the data. If a week's flat, say flat. Then pick 1 lever. Stronger openers, better artifact stamps, tighter boundary scripts. As the numbers move, expect pushback. Envy will hum, predators will test, and your old reflex will want to fawn. Good. That means the market heard you. In the next chapter, we'll handle the cuts without shrinking. Pushback dynamics, surviving the tall poppy cut. As your signal sharpens, resistance wakes up. Some of it is structural, some of it is human. Expect fear of positive evaluation to flare in others. The same code you carried will twitch in the people around you. Your job isn't to outrun it. It's to stay legible and calm while it hums. Start with envy management. When praise lands, don't spike the football. Neutral acknowledgements keep heat low. Appreciate it. Here are the receipts, then share specific credit. You normalize your own visibility while giving status-safe exits to people who bristle. If someone tight smiles and says, "Must be nice," you keep tone flat. "It was heavy lift, team did great, I drove X." You're not debating feelings. You're restating facts with a falling cadence. Smear inoculation starts before a smear. Build an artifact trail, decision logs, bylines, emails you lead, repo tags. If a narrative forms, they overstated their role. They took credit. You don't perform outrage. You point. Timeline, page 2. PRs under my handle. Incident log shows owners. Com narrative plus receipts deprives rumor of oxygen. People who want drama will find it elsewhere. People who allocate power will remember who stayed specific. Demand escalation is inevitable when your calendar was previously free to raid. The old pattern. You say yes to protect belonging. The new move. No paired with options and prices. I'm focused on the rollout. I can review next week, or you can loop Sam today. Or, yes, at my consulting rate. Want me to scope it? Watch your tone. Flat, not flinty. You're training the room that your work exists inside trades, not charity. The ones who respect the frame will calibrate. The ones who don't will say you've changed. They're right. When the silent treatment lands, exclusion from threads, skipped invites, don't scramble to buy your way back with unpriced favors. Hold line. Replace audience, not values. Put your assets where they'll be seen by people who trade fairly. Publish internal memos, demo in open forums, route updates through sponsors who value attribution hygiene. Maintain your claim cadence in every room you can enter. 3-second opener, proof tag, pause, thanks at the close. Consistency is your counter to pettiness. Ally stacking is insurance. Friends are nice, sponsors move markets. 3 types matter. A respected peer who echoes your claims in the room, a senior who routes decisions to you, and a cross-functional leader who benefits from your wins. Triangulate credibility. Get your receipts into their updates. Ask them to paraphrase your authorship line in steering groups. Reciprocate by stamping their value where you're strong. Prestige transfers along respected bridges. Here's a micro-story. After a spotless quarter, Aisha starts leading with clean claims. A peer, threatened, floats. She's great at presentation. Others do the heavy lifting. Old Aisha would have defended point by point. New Aisha sends a short note to her director and the peer's manager. Q2 incident log attached. I led triage on 4, 7, and 11. PRs 482, 499, 503. Savings $1.2 million. Grateful to ops and legal, credited in the log. No adjectives, just receipts. In the next meeting, her sponsor opens, routing triage to Aisha. She led the heavy lifts last quarter. The smear dies without a fight. The market heard the clearest signal. Another common cut. A senior summarizes your point as theirs. You don't flare. You say, yes, that's the model I proposed, then repeat the metric. Or, right, building on what I led last sprint, here's the extension. You're not nitpicking, you're pinning the anchor. Do it twice and most people stop fishing. For the remainder, escalate receipts. I'll circulate the decision log after this. Paper beats posture. Expect social tests disguised as jokes. Look who's Mr. Big Shot now. Smile small. Don't banter yourself down. Claiming cleanly, sharing credit, feels better. Then pivot to work. You dismiss the frame without inviting a sparring match. Your body will want to prove you're still nice. Let that urge pass. Kindness is in your contracts, not in self-erasure. When pushback escalates to threat, credit theft, scope hijacks, use consequence without heat. If authorship isn't preserved, I'll step off this scope. Here are the artifacts that need to reflect roles. Then stop talking. Silence carries weight when you've shown receipts. Follow through once. The room updates its enforcement model for you, and by extension, for the juniors watching. Culture complicates pushback. In high-face environments, direct correction can look like assault. Translate enforcement into local syntax. Let's align labels with the pre-edge. It'll reduce confusion. Or, I'll keep coordination on my side, grateful for your team's execution. You're saying the same thing. Authorship stays here, without tearing the social fabric. Remember your body during cuts. The amygdala will flare, the insula will heat, the ACC will ring. Name the surge, exhale, land your sentence with a drop. If you need to buy time, use a neutral hold. I'll answer after I pull the log, then actually pull it. Your nervous system learns that enforcement can be boring. Boring is good. Boring means safe. Last move, keep modeling ownership for others. When a junior claims well, back them. You heard Maya, she led the redesign. Questions to her. You're not just protecting your lane, you're raising the market standard. The more clean claims the culture accepts, the fewer tall poppies get cut, and the less you need to armor up. On the other side of resistance is a new baseline. Keep the period, keep the proof, keep the pause, then keep moving. Integration. living as a visible self. Authorship isn't a moment, it's a metabolism. You're shifting from approval seeking to authorship seeking, from asking, "Do they like me?" to asking, "Is the work owned, priced, and shipped?" That identity change shows up in calendars, rooms, and relationships. Start with a calendar audit. If your week is full of meetings where you're the unnamed engine, cut or convert them. Kill status leak meetings, recurring check-ins where you report but don't decide. Replace them with visibility reps you control, briefings you lead, demos you drive, artifacts you publish. Block 15 minutes daily for your win log. Block a weekly receipts, slot to stamp authorship on anything worth future pricing. Design your environment to do half the work. Build an artifact trail that survives absence. Put your name and role on documents, stamp version histories, keep decision logs public. Create a visible portfolio, internal wiki page or site, where your keystone work lives with metrics and links. When someone asks what you do, you don't monologue, you send the trail. Prestige travels farther when it can browse. Upgrade your circles. Reciprocity-based relationships only. Ask, who trades clean, credits clean, and honors scope? Move them closer. Who chronically forgets your role, borrows your language, or routes asks without terms? Drift them to the edge. You're not punishing, you're protecting signal clarity. Mentors and sponsors belong in the inner ring. Friends who love you but undercut authorship get a kind boundary and less access to your professional lane. Run a quarterly ceiling check. Pick one lever, scope, price, or platform, and push it by 10%. Propose a decision right that matches the authority you already carry. If accepted, lock it in writing. If declined, ask, what proof would make this a yes next quarter? Then go produce it. You're setting a habit. Authorship asks tied to receipts, not vibes. Your communication tone becomes boringly consistent. Ownership line, proof tag, pause, thanks, credit. In crisis, the same. When pressed, you don't spike or shrink. You repeat the metric flat, then ask the next question. This is how your dorsal ACC learns that enforcement is routine, not rupture. Over time, you spend less energy thinking about how to be seen, and more energy doing work that's worth seeing. Anchor rituals that reinforce identity. Once a year, run a claim day. One visible act you've avoided because the body said, danger. Submit the filing with your name on it. Lead the town hall. Publish the case study with receipts. Invite a safe witness. After, write a single line. I claimed X, room deferred, no cut. Rituals turn isolated wins into identity. Model the new code so others can breathe. When a junior claims cleanly, echo them in the room. When someone hedges, gently translate. What I heard is you led X, that's the hinge, nice work. Narrate your hygiene out loud. I'll put the decision in the log and stamp owners so this sticks. You're not just protecting your lane, you're recoding the market. Expect grief. Part of you liked being the good one. It bought safety. Let that part speak, then show it the numbers. Lead indicators up, interruptions down, decision rights gained. Safety didn't leave, invisibility did. You're not less kind, you're less free to exploit. A microstory to ground it. Mira used to hover at the edge of meetings, always helpful, rarely named. She built the kit, ran Reconsolidation, tracked metrics. 1 year later, her dashboard shows earlier routing, fewer interruptions, price acceptance up, decision rights formalized. Appear jokes, big boss now. She smiles small, claiming cleanly, sharing credit. Then she forwards a deck, authors stamped, receipts appended. Her body's quiet, her work speaks when she's offline. That's living visible. One sentence flips the next room you walk into. Make it your default, not your exception. Modesty kept you safe. It also kept you small. Measured authority lets you keep the safety and drop the invisibility. If you want the full playbook for earned dominance, subscribe and watch the companion episode on the empathy fawn trap next. Drop claim day in the comments to commit to one visible act this week. Then come back and tell us what